Grief is a journey for every single person that has to go through it. The day that I lost my husband, I was 32, and it was completely unexpected. I was actually texting him, or we were texting each other about what we were going to have for dinner. He had said Subway, and I think I was saying Taco Bell, and that was the last conversation that we had. Grief is a journey, and it's a different journey for every single person that has to go through it. And it's something that we end up living with and constantly carrying in our hearts. It's a lot like when you know someone's going to die. It's a lot like you being at the beach and your feet have just touched the edge of the water. You know that that person is going to die, you just don't know when. And when you look out into the ocean, you see a massive wave and you know that it's going to hit you and you can't run. You know that that impact is coming and you just don't know how you're going to embrace it. The only difference with knowing that someone is going to die and not knowing that someone's going to die is that your back is then turned towards that wave and you never see it coming. Which was exactly what happened to me and our family the day that Stephen passed away. You see, he was an amazing father, something that he was completely in love with and devoted to, our two daughters. And he died doing what he loved best, and that was playing with them. He was at our pool, and they were playing football. And unfortunately, he stepped out to get a drink of water and then collapsed. My 6-year-old at the time actually dove in after. And between my 6 and 9-year-old, they dragged their dad out of the water and tried their best to save him. In that time, my oldest called me. We both called 911. And by the time I got to our house, I knew deep down inside that it was just too late. On the way to the emergency room, I had this, back and forth with God and just saying, what can I exchange, in return for him to be okay, for the moment that I show up into that hospital room, for him to be sitting up. Showing up to the ER, nobody really had to tell me that he was gone. It was something that I felt the moment I stepped into that room. And while crying, all I could do was thank everybody for trying. They didn't know him, they didn't know our family, they didn't know our story, but I know that they tried. I know that death is such a sensitive thing for all of us. The inevitable is going to happen. All of us are going to die. It's just a when factor. I felt God's presence the moment that I felt completely alone and I knew that Stephen wasn't coming back. We had some of our close friends show up in the emergency room. Now, granted, there's a lot of parts within the last few years that I don't remember. Walking out, our church leaders and pastors were there. And they prayed for me and our family. Can I remember what they said? No, but I know that they were there. In the weeks and months that passed, there was endless calls, text messages. My children's school, those teachers just embraced my daughters when they couldn't handle being in class anymore and just needed a hug. We got food from church and other people within our community to our house, and I'm grateful for that. At the moment, I didn't understand it, but had that not happened, I'm not sure I would have been able to figure out what or how to feed my kids, just because I really wasn't present. My work, they're not knowing me. I had only been in that particular position for 2 months, and they all got together and donated their paid leave to somebody that they didn't know and wanted to contribute to the healing process. So many different people that had reached out and just wanted to make sure that I'm okay, even up to now. My mom, an amazing godsend. She had retired or semi-retired about a month before Stephen died. And she's been my rock, where she'll pick the girls up from school and helps me out in so many different ways, and I could never thank her enough. I see God in people. God didn't necessarily have to come down and say, Jennifer, I'm with you, but I felt his presence. Through every kindness, through every gesture, through every text message, through every card, through every hug and embrace, through every prayer. The community that God placed me in, I've been blessed to be a part in and to be a part of. And if anyone ever goes through a journey of grief or in moments where you feel alone, you're never really alone.